Hey Retro fans, welcome to episode 8 of Retro Gaming Memories. In this episode I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite things about being a retro gamer, and that is the artwork used in video games. Artwork back in the day was used to sell games. If you had pictures of the actual screens on a game, generally speaking they wouldn't sell it because, you know, especially when you think way back to the early days, you know, ZX81, Atari 2600, all these things where it was really blocky graphics and you had to have a really good imagination. You know, if they had that on the cover, chances are you'd walk past it. So they had to have something to get you in, to grab you. And they did that by having cracking box design and cracking artwork. Now I might waffle around about this because there's a few elements of the artwork that I want to talk about. So if I kind of fade in and out of different things, just bear with me. As I've said before, this is completely unscripted. I have a rough idea of what I want to talk about and then I just open my mouth and let my belly rumble. So anyway, yes, Atari were the first kind of guys, as far as I'm aware, to have distinctive design in their artwork. You know, distinctive fonts, distinctive box design. You knew you were looking at an Atari product even if you couldn't see the Atari logo, which, to be fair, was slapped all over the boxes anyway. Now Atari's artwork is so iconic that there is a book called The Art of Atari, which I have. I would bring it on camera, but it's huge and it's a big heavy book, so I'm not going to bother. I'll do myself a mischief. But I would thoroughly recommend checking it out if you enjoy the artwork of video games, because it's got a lot of kind of, not behind the scenes, but kind of work in progress. Shows you how the guys put the artwork together. It's got interviews with all the artists. It shows you the different styles of art that Atari used, and it's a cracking read, and it's great even if you just want to flick through the pictures and bring back great memories. But I have some games laid out in front of the camera here, so if you see me digging about, you know, I'm not playing an air piano, I'm actually lifting games and stuff. But I've picked a few of my sort of favourite examples of artwork, and I'll talk a little bit about why I like them. One of the first things I wanted to show you was Night Driver on the Atari 2600. So we'll see if we can get this minus glare. So there we go, there's Night Driver. Oh, big glare, sorry. Now, that artwork there, I'll put a picture of this up so I can keep talking about it, but that artwork, I love that, you know. It's just so emotive when you look at it. Right, I'll put a proper picture up. The cars, you know, it's sort of dusk, you know, the cars are coming towards racing towards you, the player. You've got your race driver gripping the steering wheel, you know, he's got a bit of sweat on his face, there's a checkered flag and all that kind of stuff. And it's just brilliant. And I love that 70s kind of, I think it's pencil, but that sort of 70s realistic type drawing, once more for the camera. You know, I just love that. It's just so emotive. And the distinctive Atari box design, you know, big picture, game title, the kind of game variations and all that, and your Atari logo, which is all over the place. You know, I mean, if they had that on the box front, chances are you weren't going to buy it. But that, you're like, yeah, I'm in. I want to play that. That looks fantastic. Such a good game, and I've got a lot of good memories of Night Driver, which I'll go into in the next episode. It's basically the first video game I ever played, and not on Atari. But you'll find out why in the next episode. So that's Night Driver. Now, the arcade ports that Atari did, sticking with Atari for a little while, because even though you might have been aware of what the arcade game was, they still had to sell the idea of what it was for those that had never seen it. You know, if you lived under a rock and had never been in an arcade, you wouldn't have heard of things such as Missile Command. Now, Missile Command, you know, it was it was at a time in the 80s when the threat of global thermonuclear war, was heightened. Tensions between America and Russia and all that kind of stuff. It created all sorts of tension and fear and all sorts of stuff, and it created video games. Many video games. Some of which I'll talk about in a later episode. But Missile Command was kind of based on that. They ended up making it sort of space themed to try and hide the, a thin veil of cover, basically. But the artwork on this is brilliant. It's got you as a sort of space dude in charge of the control deck, basically, ready to launch these missiles, wearing a fantastic helmet. Let's have a look, see if we can get that without the glare. So yeah, splendid helmet, in your jumpsuit with the woman kind of usefully hanging over your shoulder. She's not actually doing anything, although she probably could be. There's a console at the back. I'm sure she could quite happily chuck a couple of buttons and throw some extra missiles. But I mean, just look at that. How emotive is that? You've got the guy sitting at the control deck. You've got missiles launched, this cracking shot launch from basically above with these missiles coming towards you. That's the ground and launch pad and all that kind of stuff down there. That's just so exciting, And again, when you look at the screenshot, if you've never seen this, most people were aware of what Missile Command was, but if you weren't, that was going to get you excited. That was going to make you think, what is this? I get to blow stuff up. Brilliant. No. Anyway, sticking with Atari again, but slightly differently, Activision. Now, if you watch my episode 1, which is all about the Atari 2600, I go into a little bit about Activision and how they were the first third-party company and all that kind of stuff. But to distinguish themselves from Atari, they wanted to have distinctive boxes, just like Atari, so that you could see them on the shelf and instantly recognise this was an Activision game. So they went for something different. They went for a clean kind of box with sort of simple, colourful artwork. And as far as I'm aware, every Activision game has that rainbow on it. And there's lots of stories and myths, whatever, about what that rainbow is. Why it's there. And some people some people think it was just to sort of convey movement in the game, because if you didn't have that, if you just had Pitfall Harry swinging, it would be alright, but that gives a sense of motion. It's got fluidity to it. And some people say that the colour bands were there to show you that it was an Activision game, because Activision used to do that, when the game started, if it was sort of in attract mode, the Activision logo would usually be kind of multicoloured in that rainbow type thing. And it was kind of a bit of a two fingers up to Atari, really, because Activision used to have the sort of sunrise type gradated colours, which Atari never really had. So it was really they were really boasting about their technical prowess, really, I think. But, this type of artwork, I need to try and, get away from the glare, but this type of artwork also became iconic. Because of its simplicity and just, how cool it was. I mean, it's got all the elements of the game in it, so again, there's no screenshots on this box. So it kind of conveyed what the game was. And it's, I don't know, I just love the artwork. I used to sit and draw. Stuff like that I could draw when I was a kid. The Atari artwork was done by, I don't want to say that wasn't done by real artists, but the sort of real art, the sort of photo art that was on the other Atari boxes, I had no chance of doing. So that I could copy, so when I got coloured pens and stuff for Christmas, I used to draw the the Activision kind of artwork, and make my own little versions of it and all that kind of stuff. But so that's Atari stuff, and that was my gateway drug, really. That was my hook into video game artwork, because as much as I loved playing the games, and I love video games, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm a massive video game nerd, I just love the whole thing. There's many aspects to me enjoying being a retro gamer. Part of it is the physicality of it, you know, the physical medium of tapes, CDs, cartridges, whatever it may be, and the artwork is another part of it, and there's just lots of factors to me being a retro gamer that I really enjoy. It's not just playing the games, you know, it's a multifaceted thing for me. But anyway, see, I'm off on another wee tangent again, so hopefully you're not asleep yet, but keeping on the lines of companies having to be distinctive and to convey what the game was, you know, the excitement of the game without showing you the graphics, really. I've got a few games lined up here. What will we start with? We'll start with Mastertronic. Mastertronic were one of my first loves on the 8-bit machines. Now, I'm sticking primarily to the kind of 8-bit stuff, because when you move on to 16, 32-bit, you know, when you're into the console era and like the Amiga and all that kind of stuff, and the ST, the graphics were good enough to sort of sell the game. And the artwork was generally pretty good, but by then you were into a lot of kind of movie tie-ins and things, so the artwork either became photos or you know, it wasn't really as, I don't want to say necessary, but as exciting maybe, I don't know. You know, you had like Sonic, for example, just as a sidetrack. You know, it was just Sonic standing there in the box, and it was great, you know, it was a nice character design, but it didn't really do much. You know, it didn't sell anything. You had to flip it around and get the pictures on the back to sell you the game. So I'm going to stick to kind of 8-bit stuff, because it was my, obviously, just after the Atari, it was my kind of mainstay, because but then I had sort of pocket money and I could afford a lot more games and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and I'll try not to be too much a nerd about all this crap. But anyway, Mastertronic, and I've spoken a little bit about this in my Amstrad episode, which I think it was episode 2. I'm starting to lose track now, but I think it was episode 2 was the Amstrad one. Mastertronic was a Mastertronic game was the first game that I actually bought for my Amstrad with my own money, and it was Formula 1 Simulator. And I've looked a little bit at the artwork in the Amstrad episode, so I won't look at it again. But one of the other sort of really cracking Mastertronic games that I really like, excuse me, yeah, one of the other games that I really like is Kane. Now, Kane was a brilliant game apart from anything else, which turned out to be a bonus. Mastertronic games could be a bit kind of 50-50, you know, sometimes you got a real hidden gem for your £2 pocket money, sometimes you got a pile of poo. But I loved that Mastertronic were so sort of iconic. A lot of these companies were, they had their cover design so as you could see at a glance, you know, just like Activision and that, which company you were going to buy from. So I mean, on the shelf you saw that and you could tell, or I could, you know, well, it was actually like that. Oh, still glare, I can't get that without glare, but anyway, it was like that on the shelf, yeah. And you could tell just by that grid pattern that it was a Mastertronic game. And the artwork for this, let's see if I can get this. This is going to be hard without glare. Let me take the tape out. We're going to be able to do this. That's a little bit better. There we go, Kane. So, I can't remember who did the cover art for this, and I don't think it tells you. No, it doesn't tell you. I've got my glasses on, but even then, it doesn't tell you. And I should know, because I've got friends who managed to source the original artwork. Can't remember. Anyway, it'll come to me. But Kane, I love that artwork. You know, that sort of comic style. And again, when I was a little bit older, I used to be able to draw stuff like that. You know, not as good as that, but I could do a representation of it. And I used to enjoy trying to draw that kind of stuff, the sort of comic book artwork. But Kane was brilliant. You know, it showed you what it was all about, really. Again, But it was cracking, the cowboy shooting the guy, and it was quite violent, that he's taking a chunk out of his hand there. Look, he shot a hole in his hand. And you've got the Red Indian guy kind of coming with his tomahawk ready to smack Kane in the back of the head, and train bit and the horses and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant, loved it. But I loved that style of artwork, and I loved that the Mastertronic stuff was so sort of eye-catching. You knew exactly what you were getting. You knew it was a Mastertronic game just on the shelf. So their branding was fantastic. It did a really good job. The fact that you can notice a Mastertronic game miles away is great. Like I say, everybody was nuts for martial arts in the 80s. And there was a brilliant game. Well, I say it was brilliant. It was quite good at the time. I bought it on the premise of the cover, and it ended up being a sort of Gauntlet-esque, scrolly adventure fighty type game, which was slightly disappointing because it wasn't ninja enough. But I'll talk about quickly the branding. So if I do that, you'll know straight away who that is. It's Gremlin. So Gremlin Software had these totally iconic or totally unique, eye-catching yellow boxes. All their stuff is like that. The Gremlin logo in the title and the format there. Whether it's this type clamshell or the kind of bigger ones or the smaller ones, they all had the Gremlin logo. So it was very clever, to let you know who you were buying. But the cover for Avenger is brilliant. Let's see if we can get that in. It's got everything you want from a ninja game. They've been very brave, and they've went with red ninjas just to make it a bit more standy-outy. And I think the Way of the Tiger Avenger, the first one was called Way of the Tiger. Yeah, the Way of the Tiger was the first. I'm looking up at my Amstrad collection there. The Way of the Tiger was the first game, and this was a sort of sequel. But I loved this. It captured the essence of martial arts movies and the whole sort of Japanese, Chinese love that was going on in the 80s. Anything martial arts was a seller. Completely down to the sort of completely fake sort of Japanese writing. I don't for a second believe that that's real Japanese. I might be completely wrong, and if I am, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but that looks fake to me. But what I did love was the sort of silhouetted ninjas. And I remember being in fourth year in school, third year, fourth year at school, and we had to make it was a pottery class in art, and we had to make a pen holder, and you made it out of clay, because that's a really useful, medium to make a pen holder out of. So I made this sort of rectangular box essentially, and people were doing all sorts of mad stuff with theirs, but I put the Avenger logo in 3D on top of it, and I made lots of wee ninjas, and I put them along and glazed it all and fired it all and all that kind of stuff. And it ended up a little bit wonky because I wasn't very good at it, but I had an Avenger ninja pen holder thing for a while until I got sick of it and chucked it in the bin. But yeah, ninjas, you can never have enough ninjas. And sort of sticking with that theme, God, I actually have lots of martial arts games. That's bizarre. What will we go with? We'll go with this one. Now the artwork on this is interesting. It's again iconic branding. Iconic branding. The artwork is good. It's a unique take. It's not photorealistic. It's not cartoon. It's just it's an artist rendition, and it's cool. Now the story, I've actually got a little bit of story about this. The game is Way of the Exploding Fist, which was brilliant. And again, they were brave enough to sell it on the graphics, because Way of the Exploding Fist, as everybody knows, is one of the best games ever. And if you don't like it, there's something very wrong with you. But Way of the Exploding Fist, the artwork on this is great, and I've actually got it signed by David Rowe. So have a little look at the artwork. Right, It's cracking. It's not photorealistic, like I say, but the cool thing is that I got to meet David Rowe down in Blackpool a few years back and got him to sign this. And I actually have a print which is up on my wall, which I'll take a photo of and put in here at the moment, and got that signed as well. But the print I've got is, and I can never remember what it's called, it's Glycee or Geisli or something, I can't remember. But it's basically, it's not a print like from a printer, it's as close as you'd get to the original sort of airbrushed artwork. It's almost like a high resolution print, but you can almost feel the kind of ink on the paper. Anyway, it's a really, really nice print. And what's quite cool is that, and you'll see this in the thing, is that the logo's missing. The logo was added later. And I asked David about the logo, if he did the logo. He didn't. And also the sort of writing on the boards up there. And he made that up. He just looked for something that kind of looked sort of Japanese-ish. But it's pretty cool. And again, it's a completely iconic piece of art. And of course, it's an iconic box. Melbourne House had this kind of colour prism on the top, and at the sides, you had the colour band up the top. And I think they were all pretty much a single colour. They were either blue or yellow, or a sort of tan colour. And like all the other stuff, the Amstrad was purple. I'm pretty sure the Spectrum was yellow, and the Commodore 64 was blue, I think. Which went slightly against normal regulations, because all the other guys like Mastertronic and stuff, Commodore 64 was red, not blue. But then again, Amstrad was orange for these other ones, not purple. So anyway, that's a side. Sticking with the martial arts theme, why not? How many of these are martial arts themed? No. This is the last martial arts one, you'll be pleased to know. But this, and I spoke about this game in episode 2. I love this game, and I love the artwork, and I love the subject of the artwork. And that is Bruce Lee. Again, because of the 80s fad with martial arts, Bruce Lee was my hero when I was a kid. He was just an amazing kind of guy, very inspirational, and obviously an amazing martial artist. But the cover art on this, and I wish I knew who did this artwork. There's no name or anything on the artwork, and I've never been able to really kind of track down who drew it. I'd love to get a high resolution print of this, but the artwork on it is brilliant, because it's that sort of pencil style, but they've captured Bruce Lee's essence brilliantly, and they've captured the essence of the game, even though Bruce Lee has managed to clone himself somehow 10 times. He's fighting multiple wee ninjas, and there's a green guy who in the Amstrad version is called Yamo. I think it was called something different in the Commodore 64 game for some reason. But yeah, so the game that perfectly captures what the game was about, and it just looks brilliant. Just totally captures the game. And the artwork, the cover of it was really cool. It's a bit 80s with the kind of neon blue and all that kind of stuff, but cracking. So the next artwork I wanted to talk about was Epyx. Now, Epyx did artwork that was very, very eye-catching, and it was very different, because you just need to look at something like that and you instantly know you're looking at an Epyx game. And as far as I'm aware, they all did it. Pit Stop on a Commodore 64, Impossible Mission, and the other one I've got is Winter Games. When you look at them side by side, they've got this brilliant sort of neon outline, which kind of gave it a really interesting, exciting, vibrant feel. You just wanted to kind of pick it up and wonder what was going on. And the artwork was pretty cool. It gave you enough of an idea. I mean, there's Elvin Attenbender and the guy from Impossible Mission and missiles and all that kind of stuff. And You've got your medal winning hero in the in Winter Games and all that kind of stuff, and that great kind of sense of movement. Again, using sort of neon-y colours. And I suppose at this point I want to talk a little bit about the actual artwork, because the guys that did the artwork for these things, most of them are unknown. They were just kind of either jobbing artists who just got something to do and away they went and did it, or they were in-house artists that never got any credit. Apart from kind of now when you start to find out, like I say, through social media and whatever else. Back in the day, you had no idea really who did these things. Like I say, there were a couple of people that you got used to, that you kind of knew, who did kind of art all the time, and you got used to that kind of stuff. But I've no idea who did that, and I wish I did, because when you look at that, right now, you could probably knock something up in Photoshop like that. Even an amateur could probably play with filters and all that kind of stuff, and get neon filters and get things looking like chrome and all that kind of stuff. But to be able to draw that, I mean, I don't even know how you would start with that. Is that airbrushed? Is it airbrush and pencil? I'm not sure. There's bits of airbrush, I don't know. But the thing that I love about all this stuff, right? And again, I'm sorry, I'm kind of waffling and jumping all over the place, but the thing that I love about this and all these games is the design of the cover artwork. The guys that did this, how am I trying to convey this? The guys that came up with this had to come up with a concept that was exciting, that conveyed what the game was, plus stayed within kind of branding type rules, like having this kind of neon thing. But then they came up with a concept, and then they had to execute it. Now, being able to draw something like that, now I look at that and I can start to think in Photoshop how you kind of do stuff with gradated blendings and all that kind of stuff. But to be able to draw that using an airbrush or whatever technique they used was just astounding, and I really wish that these guys would get more credit. I wish that everybody in these games would get more credit, because like anything, if you go to see a film, you start to get a feel for, like Drew Struzan, who did the artwork for pretty much all of Steven Spielberg's films. Total iconic artwork, and you knew straight away. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Gremlins, all these kind of things. You knew it was that artist, and you knew what you were getting. And on the artwork was his name for a start, but also all the actors' names and who directed the film, and a couple of sort of top names. On this, there's nothing. I've no idea who programmed it. I've no idea who did the graphics for it. I've no idea who created the cover art for it, or who did the music or the sounds. And that to me is a bit of a crime, because we love these games, and we did back in the day, and people should have got a bit more credit for it. We just credit Epix with it. Epix just published it. They didn't do anything. It was the guys that created it. The guys. I use the term guys to mean men and women. I'm not a sexist dude, but the people that created these games should have had more credit, and the Activision guys did that to a little bit of an extent. David Crane started to put his name on stuff, and the other people, Carol Shaw and all that kind of stuff, started to get their name on these games. So you started to associate types of games that you liked with people, and you would buy a game based on their name. It was another selling feature. Just like you would buy, you might love US Gold, or you might love Mastertronic or whatever. Excuse me. You would have sort of brand loyalty. But I wish these people got more credit, because you look at that and you take that for granted, but there's a logo that's been designed, and there's the whole the whole layout of the thing, as well as the art style, and all these little bits along here and all that kind of stuff. Someone sat and designed all that, and then drew it and put it all together, and there were no computers. If you made a mistake, you had to start again. And you look how luminescent Impossible Mission is. The colours in that are brilliant. Again, somebody had to lay all that out and come up with a design, and draw skulls and all that kind of stuff and make it exciting. And I've no idea who did it. I've since found out that David Rowe did that artwork, obviously, but all these other games, these guys didn't get any credit for doing it. And like I say, Bruce Lee, I wish I knew. If you know who drew Bruce Lee, please let me know, because I just love that cover. But the stuff I'm going to talk about now, if you're still awake and you're still even remotely interested, because again I'm waffling off. You got used to, you had sort of brand loyalty back in the day to certain games, I suppose. You knew, generally speaking, certain companies had good quality games, or you knew that the graphics, you liked the graphic style of a game of this company or whatever. But there's one company who kind of ticked most of the boxes for me. Their games were generally really good, the graphics were generally really good, and there were a couple of people that really knew how to push, for me, the Amstrad. That was my computer back in the day. And it's only recently, again, that I found out who the guys were that could really push it. And I'm thankful that for social media that I've kind of managed to find that out a little bit, because I love learning about who made these things. But great games, great artwork, great music, good playability, and most of the games were arcade ports, which ticked my box because I love arcade games, and to be able to play them at home, albeit representations of them, was brilliant. Excuse me. And the company I want to talk about now, sort of saving the best till last, is Ocean. And I suppose Imagine, but Ocean primarily. Now, Ocean were my go-to company. If I had birthday money to spend, I would buy a full price Ocean release. And the reason I would buy it was kind of twofold. And one part of it is the stuff that I've just mentioned, all about the graphics, and I knew what kind of game I was getting and all that kind of stuff, and arcade ports. And the other part of it was I absolutely adored Ocean's cover art. Now, I didn't know anything really about it at the time, about who had drawn it or all that, anything like that. I just knew that I loved Ocean's artwork. I loved the style of it. I loved the motion in it. I loved the colours in it, the textures. It just spoke to me, and there are a couple of reasons that I love it, and I'm just going to start talking about stuff. One of my favourite games is Operation Wolf. Right, I love the arcade game, and again I've spoken about this in my Amstrad episode. I went to buy the game on Christmas Eve, 1986, 87 it would have been, and I remember seeing the adverts for it in the magazines and stuff, and I just loved the artwork. Now the clever thing is that the artwork on the arcade game, on the actual cabinet, was kind of sort of line art, sort of vectorized. It was, they had a limited palette when they were silk screening these things, so they maybe had 4-6 colours if you're lucky to start with, especially in the kind of games around about the mid-80s. So the artwork on the cabinet was quite simplistic. So when I saw the artwork for Operation Wolf on the Amstrad, I was blown away. And here it is, in case you're not familiar with it, and if you're not familiar with it, you should shoot yourself. Operation Wolf artwork is just astounding. And you can see, I don't know if we'll be able to get in here, but there's the arcade artwork, and you can see it's quite simplistic. But then you kind of take on the Operation Wolf artwork for Ocean, and it's just this different class. You've got the guy there with the Uzi, which is quite clever because you never see him in the arcade game, but that's you, if only. And you've got all the kind of elements of the game, helicopters and all that kind of cracking stuff. I just love the artwork on that, the textures behind it, the way the artwork is done. The skin textures and the colours, and I love little things like the smoke coming out the gun, and you can't really see it there actually. I've got it up there. You can see more of it up there. There's gun flares coming off the side, and the gun flares look cracking. Or muzzle flash, sorry, not gun flares, muzzle flash. But the thing is, you know, the artwork on this is brilliant, and it was Bob Wakelin that did the artwork for this. You probably know that already. You might have actually seen his signature up there. But Bob Wakelin did the artwork for this. He did the artwork for most of the Ocean kind of Imagine games, or sort of when Imagine was part of Ocean. But his artwork was a big sell for me. It was one of the reasons that I bought a lot of the Ocean games. I just loved his style. I loved it was photorealistic, but without being photorealistic. It was as if someone had put a kind of slight filter on realism, and that sounds really stupid. It's really hard to explain, and I wish I could explain it better. But it's so emotive, you know. That is just a brilliant image, and the fact that again Bob had to come up with this, you know, it's totally original. The layout is totally original. The artwork's completely original. The logo is completely original, and he's got that kind of chrome effect. And again, you know, you could do that in Photoshop now in 10 minutes. That sort of chrome effect. That's done with an airbrush. And I've kind of spoken to Bob a little bit. You know, I've met him a few times at the replay things and that, and I've spoken to him a little bit. And you know, I'd really love to nip his head more about how it all was done, how he created it all, because I just adore his artwork. And like I say, that's signed. I've managed to meet him a few times, and I do kind of, bless him, he's very patient. I do geek out a little bit whenever I meet him, because, well, as you can probably see, I've got 3 bits of artwork up there of Bob's. I actually own 11 prints, I think it is, of his artwork, and I kind of rotate them a little bit every now and then. I'll swap them out, and I'll put a link below. But the only place, if you want any of these prints, the only place that you can get them officially is the Attic Bug on eBay. They work with Bob to make sure that the colours are bang on, and that he's happy with the artwork. And Dave and Anna, who run the Attic Bug, I'm friends with them on Facebook. They know nothing about this. They've not paid me to plug anything. But if you want any of this artwork, go to them and you'll get officially recognised Bob Wakelin artwork, high resolution, high quality prints. And like I say, you know, sometimes you can get them signed by Bob. Certainly if you go down to replay, and if you go down to play Blackpool in July, is it July 16th? About a month from now, something like that. I think Bob is going to be there. The Attic Bug guys are going to have a stall where you can buy the artwork and hopefully meet Bob. And if you're lucky, some of the other Ocean guys sometimes hang about there, so you can maybe meet them as well. But I'll put a link to the Attic Bug store. Like I say, it's the only place you can get official Bob Wakelin artwork. If you get it from anywhere else, it's someone has printed a picture. It's not the same quality. It's not going to be colour matched and, you know, given a thumbs up by Bob. So I'll put a link below to the Attic Bug, and you know, do have a look and buy some of Bob's artwork, because it's just astounding. Anyway, moving on slightly. Here's another awesome example of Bob's artwork. And well, just before I do jump on, Operation Wolf was a totally original piece, and I believe it was just I don't know if it was one of his friends, but certainly it was a guy that kind of modelled for him. And the guy that you can see there wasn't his bodybuilding, built like a brick shit house. Actually did look like that, minus the camel paint, but you know, big solid guy. And I've actually sort of seen pictures and stuff on Bob's Facebook feed of the chap who was that model. Seems like a really nice bloke. I'd be quite scared to meet him in real life because he built like a brick shithouse. But anyway, moving on slightly. Grisor, which was called Contra in the US. Ocean's version of sort of Contra. I've no idea why they changed the name. And we only found out recently that Konami, when they released Contra on the NES, used this artwork and Bob didn't know anything about it. So I think you should sue them. But anyway, Grisor is another brilliant kind of example of having to come up with a concept and executing it brilliantly. I love the logo. Again, you've got this kind of brilliant sort of metallic buzzing. Looks as if it's been kind of heated up. You've got your two kick-ass guys there. I think they were called Bill and something else. It wasn't Ben, but anyway, the guys had a name in Contra that you could play. With these cracking kind of fireballs coming out or plasma balls coming out the gun, and then the kind of big alien menace behind them. And the cunning thing is for some of his artwork, Bob used popular reference. So you can see the alien reference, as in Ridley Scott's Alien, or the H.R. Giger if you want to be pedantic, but that kind of alien design. And that's Arnold Schwarzenegger and that's Sylvester Stallone, but I don't care. The thing is that Bob still drew an amazing picture, and again it's to do with the textures, and I don't know what his story is behind this, why he picked the guys for why he picked Arnie and stuff like that, whether it was just an easy model for that type of picture, but it was brilliant. And it's the textures again, in the artwork, and just how he can draw muscle tones and all that kind of stuff, which sounds totally weird, but I just love the artwork. I know I'm waxing lyrical here, but I kind of treat Bob's artwork like some people would look at a Constable or a Jack Vitriano or something like that. This, although it's retro video game artwork, it's still artwork. An artist had to draw and design and create that from nothing, so it's still viable art. It's not just a cover on a tape, to be stuck on a shelf and forgotten about. That's why I've got prints of it, because I actually enjoy looking at the artwork. And back in the day I used to look at all of these and look at all the little details and love to see sort of pencil marks and see how guys had actually drawn it. And I used to love looking at all Bob's artwork and all that kind of stuff, for all these wee bits and bobs that were in it. And part of the challenge on Bob's stuff is he always signed it Waco, W-A-K-O, and you could have a little game that's like Find Wally or Where's Wally or whatever it's called, trying to find his signature on some of these games. Sometimes it was really well hidden, sometimes it was actually obscured by the logos, and it's only when you see things like that, which has not got all the kind of ocean paraphernalia around about it, that you get to kind of really appreciate it. Because what's the other one I've got there? So that one up there is Operation Thunderbolt, but there's no logos on it, and you get to see a lot more of the artwork, stuff that was obscured by the logos. So I love seeing these kind of raw pieces, and I've got some pieces that were unreleased artwork. So it's great to be able to see all that kind of stuff, basically plucking stuff from Bob's archive that's been scanned and touched up and colour corrected and all that kind of stuff. It's great to be able to see all that kind of stuff and appreciate it for what it is. But the last bit of artwork that I'm going to talk about, now this isn't, some people thought it was, but as far as I'm led to believe, it's not Bob Wakeland's art. But it's a piece of art that I loved, and again, it's got the thing where there's lots happening in it and there's plenty to look at, and that is Combat School. See if I can get this without the glare. There's lots of elements to that. You've got the guys doing all the training at the back, and you know, the rifle range and all that kind of stuff, and the sort of military base, and I love that kind of artwork as well. It's different to Bob's. It's different. It's a different style. You know, it's not as rich, for want of a better term, and it's not airbrushed. I don't think. I don't think there's airbrush using that. I don't know what technique it is for that. But if you compare, like Operation Wolf, I'll just obscure myself totally. But Operation Wolf was kind of airbrush type stuff, and you can see that that's, I don't know what that is. Is it paint and pencil maybe? I'm not sure. But yeah. But anyway, the Combat School artwork's fantastic, and I've kind of waffled a lot of crap in this video, so I'm sorry if it's not very interesting. It's a kind of weird one. I wanted to sort of talk about the branding a little bit of these games, and how, you know, how they were kind of so iconic and you knew what you were buying from a distance. But also wanted to kind of try and convey my appreciation for the artwork in these games. You know, they're not just tape covers in a box for me. You know, they are actual little pieces of art. You know, Bruce Lee is a brilliant picture, and again, if you know who drew this, please let me know, because, you know, I'd love to meet the artist or find out who drew it or whatever. Bob Wakelin, I always love to say hello to Bob, and, you know, I try not to geek out too much when I meet him, because I am a genuine fan of his work. You know, and he did a lot of stuff apart from the video game covers, you know, but I really genuinely do enjoy his artwork for the ocean stuff, which is why I've got it up on my walls. You know, it's, to me, it is as viable a piece of art as if I had the Mona Lisa set up there. So yeah, anyway, buy some of Bob's art from the Attic Bug. It's cracking. And try, if you can, get down to these like the replay events, more so Blackpool, and I think Manchester is quite a big one as well. The Glasgow one doesn't really tend to have as many sort of, I don't want to use the word celebrities, but the guys that made all these games, to us I suppose they are kind of celebrities, you know. But the guys that made these games, you know, that will do panel talks and all that kind of stuff. Blackpool is the kind of spiritual home of video games anyway in the UK, and Manchester as well for the actual video games. You know, Blackpool's the spiritual home of arcades and summer holidays, whereas Manchester is it was the hub in the 80s for, you know, for Ocean and all these kind of guys. All the software houses were based in Manchester or Liverpool or thereabouts in North England. Anyway, I'm waffling utter nonsense here. I hope this has been slightly interesting. Well, I hope it's been really interesting, but you know, realistically, I have waffled a lot of crap. But I hope maybe you'll look slightly differently at the artwork on your video games now, and you know, actually take a little moment to appreciate, if you don't already, to sort of look beyond the recognition, you know, that you know straight away, oh, that's Exploding Fist, I've seen it 1,000 times. But take a little time just to look at the actual artwork and appreciate the artwork as well as the game, you know, and just, yeah, I hope it's maybe just giving you a little bit of something to think about. So yeah, I'll apologise again for waffling nonsense. I hope you've kind of enjoyed this, and yeah, I shall see you next episode. Thanks for watching.